Hey, John and Mike, these brew dudes, we're sitting around at the old Studio C and we're drinking beer. And this is is this an American Pale Ale?
American Pale Ale.
Nice.
Number 5.
Number 5, as it says on the whiteboard behind us. I don't know anything about this outside of there's probably 4 different examples of it before this one. Looks nice, a little hazy, a little cloudy, but the color's kind of a nice gold, little dark gold.
Yep.
And trying to get some aroma on it. It's a little cold, so I'm not getting much off of it. But why don't you
hug it for warmth while I talk about the beer?
I will hug it for warmth. You need something to hold on to.
Yes, make it be your friend.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love New England IPA under certain conditions most of the time, but what I really prefer is something for me. I love classic American Pale Ale, but I also love some of these newer hops. I still really love a good Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Hey, there you go.
Right? And so I was going for something that was sort of similar to that still, but had a little bit of newer hop edge. And when I tell you what the hops are, you're going to be like, those aren't really newer hops, but it is what it is. So what I like, I want an American Pale Ale. I want the backbone, the malt backbone, the whole thing to be really drinkable. I want a dryness to it. I want a cleanness to it, the malt, but I want just enough malt character that I know I'm drinking a Pale Ale, an American Pale Ale. And then in this beer, so what I was going for here is to try to really focus on some prior stuff we've been playing with, and I'll point that out in a minute, just to get that crispness, that lightness to it. And I like to be in a 5.5%, 6.5% wheelhouse for an American Pale Ale. Probably in the lower end. This one came in a little high, but we can talk about it. And the so but I also like I like the flavor profile of some of the not classical California ale yeast. I like some of the newer yeasts, but I just want a lower alcohol beer than like a 7.5% New England IPA is what I'm getting at, okay? So the recipe. The base of this recipe is Maris Otter and Brice brewer's malt, which is just 2-row malt, which comes in at like almost 2 SRM is what that brewer's malt is. I sort of like it because it's a little bit more than just plain 2-row. It's got a little bit more backbone to it, a little bit more maltiness to it. And I use those both 5 pounds and 5 pounds each in the recipe.
And this is for a 5-gallon batch?
Yep, for a 5-gallon batch. Well, for me, it's a 6.5 gallon batch, which is why, I don't want to confuse people. End of my boil is 6.5 gallons, and then 5.25 go into the fermenter. And the rest of it gets wasted. Oh no, right? But whatever. That's why I don't like doing brew house efficiency, because my brew house efficiency is scary bad. But that's the way I brew, based on my pickup tube. If you want to understand more about that, tell us, and we'll do a separate video on that conversation. Anyway, but to lighten this up and make it cleaner, I used, again, why do an American Pale Ale? How many of these videos can we do? I'm just trying to build on things we've been playing with in the past. So this has got half a pound of flaked wheat in it, just to sort of lighten the body a little bit, but just do that thing that flaked wheat gives you. And also, it's got a little bit of leftover. It's got a half pound of flaked corn in it.
Okay.
All right, because I'm really digging the corn late in the last few recipes, because I really like what it does to. It allows your base malts and your character malts to just sort of be in front. It seems to just clean it all up for me, just make it a little crisper.
Yeah, a little less flabby.
Yep. And classic to Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, this has actually got 3/4 pound of Crystal 40 in it.
40, not 60.
I know a lot of people like, poo-poo on caramel malts, crystal malts these days, but I don't think it comes across with a caramelly note to it, but it achieves the color that I want.
That's right.
And it can be a little foam positive. I didn't pour it very hard today. Probably could use a touch more carbonation. The one I poured for myself earlier tonight had more carbonation, but this is, I think my tank is just about empty. So anyway, let's talk about where the rubber hits the road on a Pale Ale. American Pale Ale is the hop character. So this is up front. I'm going heavy, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but this is 1.5 ounces of nugget, because my nugget's a little bit old, so let's just call that 1 ounce, but 1.5 ounces to make up for it. So it's 42 grams of nugget for 60 minutes, and then I did, at 10 minutes, I did 1 ounce each of Cascade and Azacca.
Azacca.
Okay? And then at 0 minutes, I did another ounce each of Cascade and Azacca, and I fermented this with the Brew, the Lalamand New England East Coast ale yeast, because I like that yeast. It performs well for me. My mash schedule, I do a step mash. I start off at 145, then I ramp up to 156, and then I finish out, I flame out at 168. So I'm doing that again for maximum fermentability. The starting gravity on this guy was 1055. And I think it's a combination of my step mash profile for ultimate fermentability, the flaked wheat, the flaked corn. This finished at 1.006, people. So, which gave me a little bit higher alcohol than I was planning, because it's a little bit too fermentable. But the fact that it's fermented as dry as it is, that dryness comes through, I think, in the body and in the fermentation. I'm going for like medium, light body. And I wanted to have some of those classic, for me, when you drink American Pale Ale, you should get some pithiness, you should get some grapefruit, and then anything else is a bonus. If you want to use some New World hops, you want to use this. But for me, I wanted to have a beer on draft to balance with the other stuff that I have on draft right now. So a little bit of pithiness, a little bit of fruitiness. That's what this beer is giving me. So I'm going to wet my palate. You can tell me what you think.
Well, as it got warmer and I got a little more headspace between the edge of the glass and the beer, then that's when the aroma started really coming through. Certainly like very nice citrus notes on the nose, and yeah, really invites you in to take that sip. Trying to pick up any you know, malt notes, but not really there. Maybe like some background stuff. But certainly hop forward, and I would say a classic American hop aroma bouquet. Very nice.
I'm using a very low mineralized spring water here. Like most of the minerals in that spring water I use are in the single digits, so it's like the cheapest way to get a hold of basically distilled water, because the values are so low. You really need to make additions as if you were using RO. And let's see if I can remember. So this is 5 grams of gypsum and 5 grams, 2.5 grams of calcium chloride. So, you know, I'm favoring here a little bit of that gypsum, that sulfate, to help with that pithiness from some of those hops.
But not. I just sometimes I think back to the '90s, and you know, those not even like the APAs, but the IPAs that like were so. So bitter, so dank. I used to feel them like in my in my ears. Super pleasant in the flavor. I think you're right about the corn. You know, I think that it dries it out. It lightens the body. I think it lets you, like you said, like the flabbiness. Like when we do all malt beers. You know, there's kind of like this, it just feels like, you know, the mouth, I don't know if it's a mouth feel, but just like the overall presentation feels a little thick. And the body lightens, and so then you have like, all right, this seems like it'd be a nice hop delivery system to my palate, with, you know, some nice malt notes in there.
I think the way the malt bill, it doesn't taste really malty until maybe after you have swallowed it and you let it settle. You sort of get it. But it's the way it's set up, it supports that clean, crisp water profile, and then it allows really simple, not overly aggressively hopped beer. It allows a moderate amount of hops to sing through without having to jump through some really big hoops and dump a truckload of hops in there.
Agreed.
Which then also removes that hop bite thing, which is something that we've talked about. When I'm making hoppy beers, I try to avoid that. And one way to do that is to get this crisp, light profile so that the hops can stand out in front. Without having to really go for it. I haven't even dry hopped this. I mean, I debated it, but I just don't think I need it.
You don't even need it. Nope, I don't.
You put it to your nose, there's a hop character, you know that this is going to be a pale ale of some sort. It's a hop forward beer, and you drink it, and there's enough of that pithiness from the nugget. And the Azacca, I think, is like, you taste it and you go, this is something American related, and American pale ale just comes to mind.
I wonder if like there's some slight as I'm getting to the end here, slight tropical notes. I wonder
Yep.
if that's what that Azacca
I think that
is.
Azacca's doing
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, so that's why I put that in there. It's a play on, it's that nugget pithiness, it's the Cascade classicness of American Pale Ale, but for a 2020 plus range, right? Giving you a little bit of that tropical character that you're sort of looking for in anything American hopped these days,
Yep.
right?
Well, it's an easy drinker. It's packed with flavor.
Packed with flavor.
I don't think you need to dry hop this at all. I mean, I guess that would just like add to the aroma so much. But you know, like I said, like once it warmed up and like I got a little bit more air between my nose and the top of the beer, that's when I was like, oh, here we go. That's where it is.
Yeah.
And that's great. And it's I don't know. It presents itself like you said, like a Sierra Nevada. Takes me back to those early days of drinking beer, and it's one that, you know, you could session this even at the 6.5, 6.43 as we calculated.
Yeah.
Alcohol, you know, I don't.
Call us wimps at 6.5%, but I prefer 5.5%. You know, the funny thing is too is my recipe was calculated at 70% efficiency.
Yeah.
But this came out at 83% efficiency, so I'm gaining probably about 8 more points of starting gravity through a better efficiency.
Okay.
Is the problem, right? Not the problem, but it's just what happens. I've been playing with step mashing and maximizing
Love it.
fermentability because I like a beer that's fermented down as low as I can get it to go down.
Yeah. So maybe once you have figured out that process and can replicate it on a regular basis, maybe you don't need to get so high in terms of the original gravity.
Yeah,
right?
I'd probably pull out about almost half a pound each of the Maris Otter and the brewer's malt just to get the starting gravity down.
Yeah. So the only thing with some time, do you think clarity will?
Yeah, it might be. I mean, I don't, you know, I think a classic American Pale Ale is going to have a little haze. This is relatively young in the keg, so it's going to clear up a bit. I bet if it went to completely clear, the character would not be as nice as it is now. I just think there's some hop polyphenol still in suspension that are giving you the flavor profile and stuff that you want. So like a lot of these hop beers, I think it should be drank quickly, you know, get through it. But I'm not going for hazy. To me, haze in a New England IPA or this, it's a byproduct of the process. It's not a direct feature. It's not something that you should really drive into the recipe.
Yeah.
It's just something that should happen on its own. And if you've got super hazy and you want like gravy orange juice type, that's fine. But I don't mind. The nice thing is, you know, picking up a little bit of haze in an American Pale Ale like this is completely acceptable, right? I mean, getting that Sierra Nevada, you know, orange gold crystal clear is very sexy as far as beer goes, and it's nice. But I think you're getting some of that Azacca hop character.
Yeah.
It's sort of mentally,
You want it to be.
you're going to want to see a little haze and be like, oh, okay, I know what this is. For like the uninitiated, right?
Yeah.
If you're not like a uber beer geek, right? To me, that appearance part of it is just less important than the way it smells, the way it tastes, and for me, the color. I mean, I love this color of beer.
Yeah, I do.
I just love this. I just love that style. So
Right on. Okay. Well, there you go. APA number 5.
Number 5. Maybe there won't be a 6. I don't know.
There will be.
There'll be a 6.
I really thought that because you said like we were hearkening back to things that we're experimenting with. I thought there was going to be flaked rice in here.
No,
going back to
all
the
right,
corn.
number 6 on its way.
So there you go. I just gave you inspiration for the next iteration.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. We appreciate your attention to our YouTube product. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel because we do this kind of thing every single week. Comment below. What's your latest and greatest American Pale Ale experiment?
All about it.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to you about it. For John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.